Hi everyone, my name is Paper in Action, and in this video I'll be going over the tutorial for the Ryujin 3.5. And this is more so of letting you guys know of what type of paper to use, what materials you need to gather, any advices and tips on how to fold the Ryujin. And this video is really going to encompass all of that. And here's just like a little picture that I folded for the Ryujin. I did like a gold paper color. And yeah, and so preparing test folds. So I'm going to start off with test folds. Why test folds? Well, it helps you get an idea of what to know and kind of what to expect when it comes to folding the actual Ryujin. And this can be used for physical reference as well. When you're folding these types of test folds, you might find yourself coming into some either difficult steps or easy steps, and really you get to know how and the way the paper folds and collapses. And it's going to be beneficial when you use it for reference when you're actually folding the Ryujin. So I think this is really helpful, and plus you just have a better understanding of the whole dragon overall. And so paper type, I recommend a thin paper type, really. So a couple of recommendations I would really recommend is double tissue paper. As you can see at the bottom right hand corner, you have a blue and white doubled together. If you do not know what double tissue paper is, it's basically a type of paper where you basically use glue to a certain amount of glue, MC glue, basically putting two sheets of tissue paper together. It makes it a little bit thicker, but it's not too thick. It's sort of thin and it's foldable in a way where you can fold origami with it. Now sketching paper, it's more of as you can see on the top left, it's kind of similar to just tracing paper as well. You can also find these types of paper usually on Amazon, and I'll also leave a link in below as well. Again, the goal is to try to get less than 60 GSM. You really want it to be thin because there's going to be sections where there are thick folds. And again, you can choose to make your own paper or again buy from online or local stores. So making your own paper would be double tissue paper. Amazon is also great for buying paper online, and like I said, I'll leave a link in the description for some of the paper that I really recommend. And yeah, and so going on to paper size, what I recommend. So I would recommend at least 120 centimeters by 120 centimeters or larger. Now this is my opinion on what type of paper you should use, but of course everyone does it differently. They can use 100 centimeters, 96 centimeters, or even larger, of course. And again, if you plan on using something around 100 centimeters or less, it still works. I know it would be tedious when you fold those small details later on. So I just really recommend that you do a little bit of research on the type of paper as well, and it might be a lot of paper that you have to kind of look around for, and then if it's too small it might be too tiny. So it's just a no on the side, but of course it's still possible. And some tools I really recommend is used to help fold small details, of course. So it's not really necessary, but it is useful in some areas like shaping scales and collapsing. So here are some tools I recommend. Mechanical pencil, basically it has a pointy tip. The goal is having the tip at the end. This is ultimately to help you really go into those tiny sections of the paper when you fold, just to make sure you get those creases. And again, toothpick works, skewers work. Clips, one of those clips that you would put the paper together, I recommend those as well if you're you have a lot of thick paper that you need to use. And I think I forgot to mention on here, but I would really recommend some kind of heavy object that you would place on the paper just to hold the paper down at certain sections when you want to crease it, because there's going to be times where you really want to focus on one but the paper keeps on moving up, so you need to make sure the paper is settled. And other than that, you just really need one tool. This is kind of my opinion on it, but of course definitely if you're interested in using other tools, go for it. The main goal is just having a pointy end and again the clips for holding paper. You can also check out Fearless Flourish video on more of tools to use to help shape and fold. I watched a video and I found it useful, and I really recommend if you're into that kind of stuff of the tools, then definitely check out Fearless Flourish video on that. So going on to grid size, we got a 96 by 96 grid size, which is the goal of the paper. And so I kind of just put the red and blue as side note. Of course, I'm sure many folders out there know the mountain folds and valley folds, but just so if you don't know, those of you who don't know, then that will be there for reference. Again, you want to continue dividing after the papers into 3x3, so I have a kind of a step-by-step on how to fold a 3x3 paper to that instead of actually guessing where the paper is folded into threes. So you can start off by following the guides right here. I'm just going to kind of point off. It starts from left to right and then from bottom here to left to right. And this is kind of, like I said, follow the red of mountain folds, valley fold as well. Red is the mountain fold, and of course blue is the valley fold. And just kind of follow through and you'll get 3x3s on both sides. And again, you just want to continue doing that until you get 6x6, 12x12s, 48x48, and then finally 96 by 96. And that'll get you to your final grid size. Okay, so next we have the CP pattern. So we have the red and mountain fold and blue valley fold. Again, that's just for a side note reference. And again, so the actual CP is actually here. This is the one by Satoshi Tamiya. And of course it's in black and white. And then we also have the colored CP. This will be useful when you actually fold the Ryujin and you start collapsing the section. So after you basically pre-creased everything, you'll have this and you want to basically follow the mountain folds and valley folds, and that'll help you collapse. So I would recommend referring to this page. And again, I'll have the Google Slides linked in the description so you guys can get all the details and everything, of course. And so, where do we start pre-creasing? That's the question that I think some people might ask. And really, you can start anywhere you want, but this is for what I did. I really started 16 squares up after finishing the grid. So you go up 16 squares from here. Here's just like a little guide right here. You go up 16 squares right here. And on the 17th square fold line, you basically want to fold that diagonal line and continue, of course, throughout the rest. And of course, you also want to pre-crease this area as well. But again, I would refer to the back page over here. As you can see, I would refer to this page and this page to continue folding the rest of the way. And you can see every section right here, it's usually one square to the next. And that is how you start pre-creasing. So really you can start anywhere, but this is how I started pre-creasing mine. Okay, so going on to folding options. After you pre-crease the grid, of course, you have some folding options. So we have the regular fold, and what I mean by the regular fold is just the typical folding. You just continue folding, pre-creasing, and then you collapse the actual Ryujin together, okay? And then we have the 2x1, which is also known as the half method. You'll have your square paper, right? You just basically cut the paper in half and you fold it from there. And I'll get into that, what I mean by that. So the half method is really the paper being cut in half, and it's the reason why you would do that is you would make folding easier. And so here's a crease pattern, for example, and this is where you actually want to cut it. You want to cut it halfway to the point where the paper is just, obviously it'll fold when you fold the paper in half, of course, after you pre-crease or before you do the grid. I kind of said after pre-crease, but you could also do it before as well. You get an idea of sections easier to fold, so you can only focus on this section, and after you completely finish pre-creasing and collapsing that section, then you can move on to another section. So maybe you might use this half method as a way to obviously make folding easier. Maybe the table is too small or something, and then you might, you need to work on it on a smaller space. So then this will just be easier when you fold. So you can just focus on one section rather than having to worry about the other half of the section like off the table or something like that. Again, it's just more cleaner, and the paper won't wrinkle all over the place. And yeah, other than that, that's basically it for the half method. It just makes folding easier overall. Okay, so the Google Drive. So this is what some people refer to in this drive. It's very, very helpful, and I'm gonna give a huge shout out to Daniel Brown for actually providing this collection of the Ryujin guides. He also did a bunch of other Ryujin guides as well. We have 1.1, a whole other bunch of Ryujins, but the main focus here is Ryujin 3.5, and it has a complete kind of tutorial on how to fold the Ryujin. And so going back to our first slide of the test folds, here are some of the test folds that are in the Google Drive that you guys can refer to when you actually start folding, right? So, you know, we have the neck twist, we have the tail, we have the legs, the head, parts of trying to put the scales together, really everything you need to know in terms of folding the Ryujin 3.5. And again, this is just like I said, photo guides, test folds, references, tools, lessons, outlines, and so much more. They even have Google Docs explaining each section. So I really recommend checking out the Google Drive, which will be linked in the description. And you guys can also access this in the Ryujin Central Discord, which I'll get into right now. So it's kind of along the page, but Ryujin Central, what is it? It's a Discord where basically you can join and you guys can get really access to more questions if you have any other further questions, as well as the Google Drive access. So you can access the Google Drive in the Discord as well. And again, shout out to Koreshi, posted the Google Drive there. And again, he kind of goes over and explains it contains the complete Ryujin 3.5 lesson course, and it's ready for viewing. Again, a lot of photo diagrams, PDFs, and you can scroll down to match it with the docs, as I previously mentioned. And again, we also have other channels. So on Discord, you have other channels where you can check out. Of course, you have the heads, tails, papers, and tools, as well as finished pick. And feel free to explore other channels. Again, when you see the 2.1s and the 3.1s, those are the different Ryujins. Of course, if you're interested in folding other Ryujin models, feel free to get inspired by some of these picks. You know, these are just a couple. I found so many more Ryujin picks out there that I thought were just really awesome. So it's really cool to see everyone's Ryujins, and hopefully you might be able to post your own Ryujin as well, and again, get inspired by some of these picks. So you can check out other useful videos. You know, we have the complete tutorial by Fearless Flourish. I saw this video and I thought it was really helpful, so I put it in. And again, it contains majority of the hard steps as well. So if you find yourself still struggling even with the Google Drive, then I recommend checking out Ryujin 3.5 by Fearless Flourish. And then we have our shaping scale method, which I did as well, along with the Ryujin scales that by Origami Sage, of course. And again, I just have a faster method of doing that on how to fold shaping the scales. Origami Sage is more of the base part, but he also shows you how to shape it as well. And other than that, that's really it for the useful links. And I really recommend checking out others as well. There's so many other useful videos out there just by simply typing Ryujin 3.5 how to fold Ryujin 3.5, and a lot of videos will show up, and hopefully they will be able to help you to fold your own Ryujin. And on that, I'm so glad I'm able to do this video. Again, all the Google slides will be linked in the description below, and I really appreciate everyone for watching the video. Again, be sure to subscribe and like the video. Again, you can also help donate to the UCLA Mattel Children's Hospital, which will be linked in the description down below. I highly recommend you do donate, because every bit of your support really does help, and it does make a difference in getting the art supplies for many of the children at the hospital, into letting them know that, you know, they're not alone. Any support really does help. But other than that, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys in the next one.